Happy Tuesday to you and your loved ones. Thank you so much for tuning in to This Is The Day. My name is Sarah Otieno. We are live on Family TV and also live on Family Radio, where the music does the talking. And being a Tuesday, we want to talk about things affecting our career, our businesses. And one thing that a lot of people are actually scared of in the current generation and cuts across, literally, is the fear of competition. So sometimes we take competition as an enemy. You might think that, hey, this person has come to take away my job. How about we look at it from the other perspective? How can we deal with competition at our workplaces? Talk about your businesses. How can you deal with this to make sure that you grow to the next level? You outshine this competition and maybe stick to your work. Or even your business, keep it afloat. Today in studio, I have two amazing gentlemen who will help us understand this. I have Mr. Kelvin Mushiri, Executive Assistant at Junkie Beans.
Yes.
And I also have Mark Voy, the founder and CEO of People Edge Consulting. And I was wondering, maybe you can help me wonder, where did the name Voy come from? Are you from Voy?
Thank you for having me here today.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate being with Family TV this evening.
Mm-hmm.
My name Voy is interesting. Where I come from, the name is supposed to be a B-O-Y-I. But if I ask you to pronounce that, I know you're going to say boy.
Boy. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Sure.
Oh.
So my parents ended up calling me Voy because of the pronunciation. Otherwise, back home, I'm called Voy.
Boy.
Yes, not boy. That's the history of my name. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And you know, if you say boy, then
Yes.
they would say it's a small
boy.
It's a small
Thank you.
boy.
That's the
That is
connotation.
boy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming today.
Thank you too.
I want us to just dive into this this discussion. Competition. What is competition? You know, someone would say, okay, there's always competition in our office, but we fail to understand the true meaning of competition. So please help us understand. Mr. Calvin.
Yes. So first of all, we define what is competition, for example. So you see, competition is where you have, for example, in the business side, you have rivalry between businesses where they are offering the same kind of services. So they tend to be that competition.
Yeah.
So in my definition, I think competition is where that in business, in workplace, there's that kind of a rivalry where one want to outshine the other.
Okay.
So in that we get to have people having feeling, yes, this is a competition.
All right. And I like the way you pointed out that it could be in the workplace.
Yeah.
That is either your business
Yes.
or your office.
Yes.
So that means that competition cuts across every platform, if I'm getting you right.
Yeah, because you see, in offices you get that to the staff there's competition, and also in the business world where that is the most where you get a lot of competition, because you have this product, someone will come with a better product to try and outshine you. So in the business field there is a lot of competition, and also at workplace where I want to outshine my colleague here. Yeah, so both of them there's a lot of competition
Okay.
in both places.
All right.
Yeah.
Can we say that there is good competition and bad competition, Mr. Voy?
I would say so, yes.
Yes.
If you have bad competition, for instance, among employees, what would happen then is that you'll have increased productivity. If employees are competing positively, knowing very well that their contribution, their individual contribution contributes to the corporate whole.
Yeah.
As opposed to competition where some employees think they are more special, the people we call the blue-eyed boys and blue-eyed girls in an organization. Now that competition can be very, very negative for the organization in terms of productivity. When you look at competition from the negative perspective, then you look at situations where the blue-eyed boys or blue-eyed girls are the ones who encourage gossip.
Yeah.
For what you call grapevine within the organization. But positive competition, people know very well that they've been given, there are certain goals that have been set by the organization that must be achieved.
Yeah.
And that competition is positive for the organization. Yeah.
I like that. But then someone would say, I have always had a good intention. And I mean, everyone walks into a workplace and all they have in their head is, let me work.
Yeah,
And they always have a good intention.
for sure.
But then, if you ask me, I don't understand what really causes someone to shift from positive competition to negative. Because we've had cases where people have shifted, right? Don't
Yes,
you think
yes,
so?
yes, for
In your
sure.
workplaces,
Sure,
maybe.
sure.
You have people who've walked in with very good energy, very good and positive competition, then it shifts.
That's a good point you're raising, and according to me, from my past experience, that basically happens when you don't have proper structures in an organization. Proper structures in the sense that when I come to that office in that morning, I'm well aware of what my contribution to the organization is going to be like.
Yep.
And my performance can be tracked from morning to evening.
Yeah.
That if I had a supervisor or had a managing director who's monitoring my performance, then they'll know that what kind of contribution I made to the organization. In most instances, from a consultancy point of view, I come across clients whose employees don't even know why they are going to that company.
Yeah.
There are no performance management systems. If there are, they are not being looked at critically so that they actually help the organization move forward. They are there as a ritualistic exercise, if you like. You only conduct your performance appraisals in June or in December for purpose of rewarding employees.
Yeah.
We have shifted from performance management or performance appraisal to a performance management system where we have constant conversations about how we are performing and what we require in terms of support as employees so that we can even become better performers.
Okay.
But most organizations find that people get into that door and they don't really know what they are supposed to be doing from their contribution to the organization, if you like. So that's the main problem, lack of proper structures that then enhance negative competition as opposed to, that enhance positive competition as opposed to negative competition for an organization.
I like that. What do you think, Mr. Kelly?
I have 2 points. One is from what he has said, that when you do not have proper structures, you'll get the competition will turn to be negative. I might go to an organization with very good intention just to work and be productive.
Yeah.
But then there's this saying that if you go to Rome, do what the Romans do. So you walk into an organization, then you find a lot of competition. You cannot just stay and work because you are there because of positive whatever. But you have to do what you have to do so that you also train the rest of your staff. Because if you just stay, the next time you'll just find a letter on your desk.
Yes.
You're being terminated. So you have to do what the market have. Also in the business side, you cannot just stay and say it because my intention is just to have positive competition. You just relax. Others will come and outshine you. So you have to do whatever the market has so that even for your case, to be able also to outshine the rest of the team. Also now from the workplace, the CEOs, for example, like my friend here, who hold those big positions.
Yes.
If they do not have the proper structures or the proper mentoring of the team that they have, that will also cause a lot of negative competition.
I like that. Join our discussion if you have any questions, any comments, and any additional point. As you always say, this show is a learning one. So text us using the WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. That is on WhatsApp, SMS line 20316, and also on Facebook and Twitter at Family Radio 316, and let us get learning. Gentlemen, I want us to look at some statistics too on the causes. What really causes people to actually compete in an organization, in a business setting, and then we'll dive back into this, okay?
Okay.
Cool.
Competition is an inevitable part of the business world for businesses of any size. It is not necessarily evil, but rather an important part of the business ecosystem. In fact, competition can be an effective tool for growing and improving your business. Now, how does competition arise? Competition arises whenever at least two parties strive for a goal which cannot be shared. One's gain is the other's loss. Businesses usually see competition in the form of price, quality, design, sales, location, and almost every business process. As much as many people complain about it, many learn from it and others run away from it. But most don't even know the true meaning of business competition, its nature, types, and even importance. Now, in the workplace, competition can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, a competitive environment can spur co-workers to continual improvement using each other's performances as an inspiring yardstick, while on the other hand, workplace competitiveness can pit co-workers against one another, creating stress and defensiveness. So how can we then deal with competition in our different careers?
I like the question there. How can we deal with competition in our different careers? And there's something that was pointed out, and maybe Mr. Voy, you can help us understand this. The findings show very clearly that competition arises when two people have the same goal and the end result cannot be shared. So everyone is striving for this goal, but the success cannot be shared. That is where competition arises. What do you think?
I believe that happens when then that whatever reward that is supposed to be X employees and Y's employee is not clearly defined. If I know so well that if I deliver task X by a specified period and my pay is going to be 10% or 30% increment on my normal salary, and Mary or John is going to earn the same amount of money, then I don't know why, I don't see why there should be competition between those two people. In fact, that's positive competition. So I would talk about rewarding your best performers and having policies that reward best performers. And that should be in the policy, should be known by all employees. So much so that then that competition is a positive contribution to the organization, that the competition, just like we've heard from the statistics, then encourages each and every employee to compete for purpose of earning a result, earning a reward, and also enhancing productivity for the organization.
So if I'm getting you right,
Yeah.
if the reward and the end goal is well communicated and
Yes.
stipulated for every employee, then it will eliminate what I would call negative competition.
Sure thing, you got it right. Sure thing, that's true. And just to echo what he was talking about before we went to the statistics, another thing that is so critical, another factor which is very critical when you look at competition within organizations, specifically for careers, is the kind of culture embraced by that organization. If the culture that is being embraced by the organization allows for positive competition, if you like, it's a good thing. You can come to certain organizations, for instance, if you are in a service industry organization, the way we measure your performance will be so different from a sales organization, a fast-moving consumer good company. So much so then, if we know very well that for us to deliver X, we must play as a team, then we encourage a team kind of culture within the organization. There are situations where each engineer must come up with a design, for instance, to produce the new Mercedes or the new Ferrari. Then that's different. So we have to look at those two and say, what culture do we embrace within the organization? There are certain organizations that are so overly, they reward individual performance more than team performance. That's a culture they embrace. There are certain organizations then that embrace a team culture, which then brings them. But at the end of the day, I believe almost all organizations are embracing the team culture, because when you pick out an individual and reward him, then you give negative vibes to the rest of the employees. They say, we agree we achieved 1 billion shillings as a company, but how come only Mike is being recognized? Our small contributions, even for a cleaner, make sense to the organization.
I like that. So let me ask you a question. Someone would ask, please tell me the characteristics of good competition and the characteristics of bad competition. So I'll start with you, mister. Characteristics of good competition.
So in that, as Voy has said, some of the good competition is where you encourage your team to work as a team, where like everything is well defined. For example, if it's my job description, it's well defined that if I do this, this is what I'll get. If you do this, this is what I'll get. But not if you do this, you'll get what Kelvin gets. Because if that happens, then you are promoting negative competition. Because if we're working on the same thing, then you as the boss, I call you and tell you, if you do better than Kelvin, you'll get Kelvin's position. You get? So that promotes negative competition. But positive is encouraging everyone to work as a team, having your team, like the job description well defined and the roles, everything is well defined, and that will promote
positive
competition.
Mr. Voy, what about the negative ones?
We've come across, and there are various research reports that we've come across where you realize that the world over, but if I can be specific and say in the US, almost 75% of employees say they are disengaged.
Yeah.
Now, that negative competition will definitely lead to employee disengagement. So much so then that impacts on productivity of employees. That then boils even down into causing stress.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that you have employees who are very, very stressed within the organization because of that negative competition. You realize that there will also be the situation of defensiveness. Most employees are always very defensive in a competitive environment. I've worked with colleagues who would wait until you have that exco meeting, is when they go and start mentioning how they sent you an email on Monday and you never answer that email. When you're just across, you are in the
Yeah.
next cubicle.
Yes.
But this employee wants to look to appear as the best person to the CEO. When they wouldn't follow up even the phone call and tell you, hey, I sent you this email.
Did you see?
Yeah, you are meant to do ABCD. Your contribution to this week's committee is 1, 2, 3. But they'll keep quiet until the meeting. That's when they want to confirm to the CEO and the rest of the team that you
That
never
I'm
played your role,
superior.
that I'm good, I'm playing my part, but you're always pulling me down. So
You know
yeah.
what they call that? Sorry to interrupt you. They call it kuchomeana in the local
Thank you.
language.
Sure, for
Thank
They
sure.
you.
would say, I am saying this because I want to make you look bad.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Is that negative competition?
Extremely, and it really, any CEO encourages that kind of culture will not succeed in whatever business they are in, because if you do that, then you have camps within the organization. There's them versus us. There's the blue-eyed girls and blue-eyed boys, and those of us who are non-performers. So at the end of the day, as CEO, you might think you are running an organization, but at the end of it, you will not succeed, because you need to have a team that is reading from the same script.
Okay.
Just to
Mr.
add
Kelvin?
on that, another thing that would encourage negative competition, I don't know how this should be handled, but promotions.
Yeah.
If there's a promotion or there's another post, we will all compete negatively for sure, so that we get to that position. If an organization doesn't have the proper setup or the proper arrangement, we'll have to compete it negatively for me to get the promotion.
Yeah.
I have to talk well to the CEO.
Yeah, sure.
For me, I have to tarnish your name so that at least I can get that position. So for the part of promotions that have to be looked into. Yeah.
All right. So here is a case study maybe. I'm in the office.
Okay.
And this lady who sits next to me, literally, we're not in good terms. We're all salespersons, you know. Tuko hapa, we're supposed to sell this product, but every other time when I try and reach my goal, maybe with the clients, she goes ahead, cancels my deals, maybe now goes directly to the client and tells them, you know what, I can deliver this better than Sarah. And at the end of the day, money still comes back to the company. So the company is benefiting, but my relationship with my fellow co-worker is affected because of number one reason, she goes directly to my clients. Can we term that as negative competition, despite the fact that the fruits are still yielded? But again, it's only her who's benefiting, because sales zake are going up and mine zinadidimia.
I still go back to, if you may allow me, I still go back to how does an organization put up structures, because if there's clarity of roles and who works where, for instance, everybody has a route to market. They know very well they're supposed to be selling in Kawangware.
Yes.
Why they are going to take your sales in Buruburu or Kibera, I don't know. But that still boils down to who is the supervisor and how has he clarified those roles, so there's no ambiguity.
Yeah.
Once the roles are ambiguous, you'll find situations where everybody jumps everywhere and touches on everything and gets the praise for having done a good job. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Kevin,
Yeah.
can there be negative competition within different classes of employment? And by this I mean the common employee, the salesperson, allow me to use that example again, the salesperson and the management. Can there be negative competition between these two groups?
I think that can also happen,
Yeah.
and it's still happening. For example, the same case that I said, if I'm eyeing your position, if I'm eyeing what the position that you are, I have to do everything that I can so that I
Yes.
get where you are.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that can also promote negative competition.
All right. I like that. Someone has texted in at you. Wow, great topic. And this should be John. John, thank you so much for tuning in. Wow, great topic. Please talk about the place of EQ in the presence of negative competition. Because some of the people are not team players and seem to have to outshine others who to feel validated. Just what you were pointing out a bit earlier, Mr. Voi.
Yeah.
You outshine somebody to be validated, and he's pointing out, please talk about the place of EQ.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. He's the commentator out there. What's his name again?
His name is John.
Yeah, John. John
Yeah.
is speaking my language. Emotional intelligence is very, very important in an organization. But we having a challenge as consultants and as employers, if you like. At what point do you adopt certain tools to identify the competencies? And these are behavioral competencies of employees. Emotional intelligence can be measured using certain psychometric tools, which
Yeah.
most organizations are now adopting. In fact, if you boil down to this problem properly, you realize that certain people may be deployed in an area where they share the same colors.
Yes.
If you look at what we call the strength deployment inventory tool, it indicates some people are green, other people are blue, other people are red, and others are yellow.
Yep.
But the scientific interpretation and advice for all managers and CEOs and employees as well is that you need to adopt the various colors. If you are too red, that's dangerous for an organization. If you are too blue, that's still dangerous. But what happens is that most of these tools are being utilized by very few organizations, so much that you are unable to identify those hidden competencies that people have. Most organizations now are adopting psychometrics. But when you go to emotional intelligence, that's a new topic, that's a new kid on the block.
Yeah.
And organizations also have to, embrace emotional intelligence. There are valuable training courses. There are various tests you can go through so that we identify how emotionally intelligent you are. And it usually applies to leadership positions. Within the leadership, then how do you handle employees below you?
Yeah.
In terms of how are they interacting with each other? Are they fighting? Are they a team? And what needs to be done to ensure that you have a good team
Yeah.
below you?
I like that.
That's a very good observation from that commentator.
The gentleman
Yeah.
there. And let me ask you, Mr. Kelvin.
Yeah.
In relation to what Mr. Voi has told us, can we say that a person's mindset is a very key tool and a very key instrument in determining how someone is even going to deal with this competition, either negative or positive? And can it cause competition in the first place?
A person's
A person's mindset.
okay. Yeah, for sure that can cause and for the employers and the CEOs, you have to really listen to your team. You have to talk to your team, know whatever is disturbing them, so that even you can be able to depict such problems, such kind of competition. He said that for a team, you have to look into that team, you have to listen to the team that you have.
The characteristics.
Yes, you have to see. There's this saying that says you cannot tell a fish to climb a tree.
Yeah, sure.
So you have to look at our weaknesses, our strength. Do not keep at the same level and tell us to do the same thing. So look at my strength as my employer, look at my weakness. And where is my strength? Support me. Where is my weakness? See how you can help me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I can say on that.
So let's say this. And before I read that, let me read a comment here by Wycliffe, who's saying, "Good evening, Sarah Otieno. I'm always getting a solace and comfort in Family FM. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's a listen on radio. And the diverse topics tackled. My favorite are a number of transmitted programs through this media. Blessed evening to you too. And thank you so much for reaching out with that very encouragement message. We have Victor Dingiri, who is saying, I really love the conversation. Keep that going. Thank you so much. We have someone else who just said hi.
Hi
back
too.
to you. Your name should be Beatrice Odongo. Hi, back to you, Beatrice, and thank you so much for tuning in. We have Cleophas Ochieng from Kisumu. Asante sana for tuning in today. We have someone else who is saying, I love the discussion. Please talk on how we can deal with negative competition, especially for businesses. So let's go to businesses up.
Okay.
Kidogo too. Yeah. So I have this tomato business, and I like painting pictures in this. I have this tomato business, and the next door person decides I'm going to open a tomato business,
Which is happening
which
daily
is
in
happening.
Kenya.
And that is what we will call negative competition in our local understanding as people. So this lady just wants us to understand, or to elaborate, how can she deal with this? Yeah, this is a lady, opened a business the same as mine. So how am I supposed to deal with this? Ensuring that I maintain my standards,
Yeah.
I maintain my customers, and at the same time make profits. I'll start with you, then go to Mr. Voy.
In Kenya, it's very funny. If I open an M-Pesa shop here today, tomorrow I'm sure someone else will open next to me. If
I
you
remember the quail business.
if you observe in town, everywhere that is happening.
Yeah.
So how I can handle this kind, and also how we are handling it in the market, is just, for example, the case you've given for Nyanya. Just offer quality services to your customer. Just, you see, for a customer, just need proper and good services. Just offer quality services to your customers, and for sure you'll be able to overcome the negative competition. Just be good, offer, and also be consistent. Not today uko na nyanya, kesho iko. Be consistent, because as a customer I want to come to you daily so that I get those nyanyas today, tomorrow, and quality of them. Yeah.
Mr. Voy, do you agree?
I totally agree with Kelvin. I mean, I look at it with an analogy of whether you like driving a Ferrari or a Toyota Camry. And here I'm talking about differentiation. A Ferrari importer will sell 10 Ferraris and pay his employees a salary and meet all overheads. A Toyota Camry dealer will sell 100 or 1,000 Toyotas and still pay their employees. So it's a question of thinking different.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate yourself? Are you getting your nyanyas from a farm which has lots of pesticides that are affecting people's health? Or are you getting your nyanyas from a proper farm which you can refer even your clients when they know you're feeding them on proper food? So I believe differentiation is very, very important for you to be able to beat negative competition. But then there are situations where you can take advantage of your competition.
Really?
Yes, your competition could be selling onions or
Yeah.
garlic. If they are selling garlic and you're selling tomatoes, you could refer them that, look, I have my competition only sells garlic, I have tomatoes. Then you know, you complement each other. So competition cannot always be unhealthy. You can
Yeah.
also leverage on the advantages, if you like, and still survive in business.
And that's positive competition.
That's positive
Positive.
competition.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yes.
So wow, I like that. You know, we don't always have to fight.
No,
Not
you don't
necessary.
have to.
You know, and I've seen mama mbogas, and especially in my area, you know, there's so many in one place.
Yeah.
And if she does not have sukuma wiki, then she would send it to the
She'll
next.
refer you
Yes.
to the
Ama
next
she
one.
would get
Yes.
it for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Literally, that is positive competition, and it can work,
Yeah.
and it can benefit both the people.
True.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It's
a
working.
question like Kevin said, you must find your niche. You know, the biggest mistake we have been committing as Kenyans, and even for me as a consultant,
Yeah.
we've not focused on what our niche is. We want to do everything. We want to be jacks of all trade and masters of none.
Of none.
Yeah.
That way, you lose your business. It's better to find why you are in business and what you are best at doing, like he pointed out, and really pump in all your energies. If it's a bigger company, get the right people to support you in terms of talent acquisition, but just ensure that you do what you're best at. Because, like he said, if you set up an egg selling business,
Yeah.
everybody comes there. People have refused to identify those areas where they can really do very well, but we are just copying.
Copying.
We are imitating other businesses. That's the danger we are suffering from. Yes.
And also to add on, just be unique.
Uniqueness.
Yes.
Wow.
You have to be unique in the market for you to be able to compete also with the rest of the team.
Yeah.
So if we have nyanyas, it's okay. The way he said, get yours from Udhurwa, I'll get mine from Kinangop. I'll be unique in a way that you'll see for sure these nyanyas are better
Are
than
better than
yes.
mine.
Just be unique in your business and just keep your customers happy.
I I like that.
Yeah.
Continue sending in your questions and comments, because after a short break we are coming back to identify some of the questions, respond to them, and help you grow your career, your business when it comes to competition, how you deal with it. But for now, we take a short break. Remember, the WhatsApp number to use is 0786 316 316, SMS line 20316, on Facebook and Twitter at Family Radio 316. And thank you so much for making time today. Remember, we are talking about a competition, dealing with competition in your workplace. And from the discussion we are having today, it necessarily does not mean that competition is negative. It's not an enemy. We can work our way around it and make sure that we are there, we make profits and all that, and at the same time maintain positivity. So I still have in studio Mr. Mark Voi and Kelvin Mushiri, and we are talking about this discussion, so please join in. So gentlemen, before I dive into some of the responses and questions that have come in, what really happens, and I want us to expand kidogo on the mindset, what really happens, because we have the same qualifications. Take this for instance, we have the same qualifications, we were employed there because we all qualified. So can my mindset when it comes to competition really affect the whole work process and the outcome in general?
If you allow me, I'll say it does, and it greatly does. And in most cases, you'll find that good employers who are targeting the best employees, they don't employ for qualifications. They employ for attitude and train for skill.
Attitude and skill.
Yes, which is actually the mindset. If this organization is a very flat organization, if I take an example of Family Media, if this is a very flat organization where your interactions, you meet the boss and nobody would know who the boss is, and then you bring in somebody who thinks he's going to be here, he believes in high power distance, he's bossy, he needs his own enclosed office, he needs a secretary, that will bring down the organization.
Yeah.
So that mindset plays a critical role in the success of an organization in terms of having positive competition, because then you can get, for instance, I come across very qualified candidates in my role as a consultant. You'll find a brilliant finance director or brilliant finance manager, but when you take him to the psychometric test and look at his behavioral competencies, you realize he cannot succeed in that organization because that organization is so flat, where teamwork is emphasized. Where this guy is coming from, what is emphasized is the boss servant kind of culture. He cannot succeed in that organization. Or you realize that out of the psychometric test, this is the kind of guy who will instead encourage negative competition, in that he achieves results by stepping on others.
So it can be triggered within.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
So let's read on some of the comments. We have Shalom, who's saying, I am learning a lot from that discussion. I am a business person and clearly this was meant for me. Thank you so much, Shalom. We also have someone else who is saying, please talk about people who negatively respond to competition. Mr. Kelvin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Negatively respond to competition.
So, I think Mr. Voi will be in the best position.
I think I would look at that, if I'm not wrong, if the commentator rather, or whoever our caller is, if they are looking at it from a business perspective, then I can say, competition cannot be welcomed by everybody.
That's true.
It cannot be welcomed by everybody, but then you need to put structures in place that makes your business survive. So much so that even if I look at your products negatively, you still have your buyers in another area. So you are still bringing in your revenue and you are surviving as a business. I don't think there's much you can do about that unless they look at your product very different, so much so that then you need to go back to their R&D department, research and development, and reinvent that product so it attracts that negative person. Otherwise, I don't think there's much you can do about it.
And then again, it's a mindset.
Sure, it's a mindset again. I don't like products from factory
A particular
X.
company.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. All right. So there's someone else who is texting in, Cleophas Ochieng from Kisumu. Dealing with negative business competition, you have to have a mind of an investor.
For
Leave
sure.
the nyanya business for someone else to operate and start omena or skuma wiki or anything else business. I'm sure she'll challenge her. Mimi nauza pineapples plus watermelon. Therefore, I meet all the needs of my regular clients. Diversification, if I'm getting that right.
For sure.
It is.
That's what we said, that you have to be unique. Everyone else is selling nyanya. Try to get something else you can do. Sell onions, as Voi was saying. Sell ginger. Just be unique by yourself when there is that competition, and for sure you'll outshine the rest. Yeah.
But Ochieng, John is asking here, and let me try and get these.
Yeah.
He was talking about how about bringing this person to my side. So here it goes. I'm wondering, in the area of business, can we eliminate competition by getting them on our side, like employing a small-scale salesman who is selling the same product I am selling, so as to leverage on his expertise in selling and have him earn more than if he continued to do it alone. So I'm painting this picture in this way in my mind. We have these two people. We are both selling nyanyas, right? Tomatoes. And I get really quality tomatoes, but him, who is my competition, is really good in selling, in talking to people. So if I'm getting John right, then he says, how about we come together? I get quality, you do the talking.
He's making a lot of sense.
Yes.
And where we do fail as businesses is we like running away from joint ventures. Joint ventures in the sense that, why don't you then look at people who have been there, done that,
Okay.
and seek to partner with them. When you partner with them, they already have the brand,
Yeah.
they already have the designs, they have the route to market. Then you just partner with them and move on. And forming such joint ventures and creating networks of synergistic relationships can help you combat competition. I'll give you a good example of those of us who are in the consulting space. Everybody in Nairobi is an HR consultant.
Is a
If
HR.
you
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
me,
For sure.
so how
everyone.
do I stand out different?
Yeah.
What's my differentiator? So you must differentiate yourself, like we said, think differently, and then get people on board who are more reputable than you are. We are not saying they may be clever, but they are more reputable because they've been there, done that. They have the experience, they have the templates, they have everything. But our failure has been that we like doing things the same way and expecting different results, which the definition is actually stupidity. So we have to do things differently.
I like that.
So it's a good idea that you bring on board a better salesman who's actually your competitor, and we are supporting what he is commenting. That's a very, very good idea in business. Yeah.
But in business then, and how do we just face competition in business? What leads to this competition? Is it lack of research? Is it just because we are all blindfolded and we all want to do quail business at some point?
I think what is causing this in business side is, first, is the people do not want to reason. People want to copy.
Yeah.
The same way everything is happening to the youths. If I see you in such a nice dress, tomorrow another lady will go for it.
Yeah, sure.
So people want to just copy.
Yeah.
And since you are making money, I don't know how much effort you've put in this. So tomorrow I'll just wake up and start the same thing. So people do not want to think. People do not want to research. They just want to copy whatever is there. And also for the youth, people want to get rich very easily. So if I'm checking and saying that you've made it through this, I'll start the same thing. So I think the best way is for people to be unique, to do a good research, and at least be your own self.
Be your own self.
Yeah. Sorry. Because the idea that I have, I'm sure it's different from what Mr. Voi have.
Yeah.
And if all of us implement each one of us differently, I believe our country will be in even a better position and will avoid all this kind of competition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Voi, do you take this to be some of the strategies that we can help, especially for business people,
Yeah.
to help curb and maybe beat negative competition?
I think from where I sit as an HR consultant, most organizations are put up or rather established.
Yeah.
But then the downside of establishing those organizations is that you don't look at the people aspect.
Uh-huh.
What kind of people do I want to work with?
Yes.
What kind of talent am I going to attract
Mm-hmm.
into this small business of mine, where you'll have one or two salesmen?
Mm-hmm.
What type of salesmen are you attracting? How are you going to reward them? How are you going to develop them and retain them? It's all about people.
Mm-hmm.
And then the question of culture, what kind of culture are you encouraging? Like, as in nature or in the consultancy world, we say culture eats strategy for breakfast. You may
Yes.
have the best strategy
Yeah.
in the world. But if you have the wrong culture, which is actually embraced by the employees who are your people, then you can't succeed. But in most cases, you realize that people are failing in business because we are not embracing technology. We
Wow.
have young boys out here who are doing businesses worth millions of shillings online. We are not embracing technology. Most people would like to, if you ask a CEO, for instance, that you want to work offline, the coronavirus, there are people who are telling us to be prepared for people to work offline, that people will work from home. If family is infected, God forbid, if you're infected by the virus in this building, you'll be compelled to work from home.
Yeah.
So we need to embrace technology. So much that the technology helps our organizations move to the next level. How are we marketing our services, for instance? If you're in a service industry, I come across so many people, I ask them, what's your LinkedIn profile? And they don't know what that is. And they are claiming to be in business.
That's unfortunate.
It's a pity. So embracing technology, because what we had in the past is obsolete. We have to move with the times. How do we market ourselves? How do we message our product? What value are we creating? And all those things. Then that makes us compete and still succeed in business.
I like that.
Yeah.
Just
And-
another one,
sorry,
maybe from Mr. Voice side. Also, something else that you find in the business side that is causing a lot of competition is some of the people who have business do not comply. I have a business, I have all the licenses. You come, you start up the same kind of business, but you don't have licenses because there's someone you know. So what you can say is that for our customers who go to get our product, you need to research also to the companies that are offering you this kind of product,
Yeah.
so that you know the legit people and also who are doing the black and white things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really bad.
Mm.
We have Pastor Simon Kantai from Lodwa. Hello to all the brethren, and thank you so much for the show. As for me, I would like to support that point of positivity in competition. It's competition which will tell you either way if your business is rooted on the right market with the right opportunities, and of course it will also tell you how much trust do you have with your customers. Personally, I do not fear competition, but rather it helps me grow each and every day as my life. It takes me to be unique in a style. I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Literally, he's embraced positivity in competition.
Yeah.
Just to add on, you cannot discourage competition on the other side.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if you look on the technology, the reason why the technology is where it is right now and from different organizations, it's competition. Check WhatsApp, it's changing daily. Why? Because they want to be in the market.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of competition. Facebook, it has a lot of things. Everything is changing daily. So competition is also good.
Yeah.
Because it helps us to think more, it helps us to focus even more for me to be able to outstand in the market. So in one way or another, we have also to embrace competition, and there we'll just focus on the positive competition, but also competition is good.
All right. We have Emmanuel Njao from Athi River, and maybe Mr. Voy, you can help us on this. Hey, Sarah Otieno. Thank you so much for that. And you're saying, thanks always for the informative show. Thank you so much for always tuning in. My question is, how do you handle a junior officer who feels they know, maybe they do, more than his or her immediate boss?
Thank you very much. I'll still. Wow, that's a good one.
It's a tough one,
I'll
right?
still go back to how you attract people into your organization.
Yeah.
How are you attracting people into your organization and developing them for purpose of enhancing productivity, and more importantly, retaining those people? Situations would be that this supervisor or HOD who has a person below them who think they know it all maybe that person who's reading more than this supervisor.
Yes.
Maybe that person who's enhancing their skills more than somebody who, because what happens in our workplace is we usually say, when it's working, why are you changing it? So whatever we learned in university, what we graduated with, is what we think must be applied in the workplace. The workplace is transforming each and every other day.
Yeah.
And what I would say, if this young employee who's a junior officer is acting to know it all positively, it's the beauty of having intelligence people below you more than you is the best thing that can ever happen to you as a supervisor or a
Because
CEO.
of the results.
I mean, look at Bill Gates. The people he has employed have better degrees from even more serious universities than where he was, because once you have better people below you, you get better results. Thank you for pointing that out. However, if you have this quote unquote know-it-all, then you have a bad employee. You need to find a way of getting rid of that employee. Otherwise,
That is so straight to the point, yeah.
if the employee knows it all for the better of the company and they are more intelligent than you, I encourage you to have even 10 intelligent people below you, so much so that you can deliver your results on time and quality results. Yeah.
I like that. We have someone else who's saying, how do you get the management to handle the negative effect in an office that is creating toxic competition? How do you get the management to handle the negative effect?
I think from my end, the first thing is to talk with the management, because you see, when the bosses stay in their offices,
Yeah.
there is a lot that is happening. You see the statement that saying kwa ground vitu ni different. That's so true.
Yeah.
A lot is happening down here, and the management is not yet concerned, that causing toxic environment where you said that we, at the end, me and Sarah will be enemies. So I think also from the bosses or from the people who head the bigger offices, you have to interact with the whole team. You have to be close to your team. You have to interact so that you know whatever is happening in the daily to daily activities, for you to encourage now the positive side of it.
I like that. And Roy is asking, may I ask, how does one beat competition in the travel agency side? Because a client will ask you for rates of an air ticket for different airlines, but will end up booking with your competition. So frustrating. I'm sure Roy works in that kind of industry, because this is personal, Roy. Yeah.
That's the real world of business. We come across people who, like, if you look at organizations that have processes which must be adhered to certain procurement policies,
Yeah.
you find so many people asking you for a service when they know very well that service is going to end up with a particular organization. So Roy might be in a situation where whoever asks for those quotations is asking from several other companies, knowing very well they are going to give that particular job to a particular company.
Sometimes it's for comparison
For
of the rates.
comparison purposes, when they know very well.
That one is better. I'm
Yes,
just
they know
asking
very
for
well
the
Mark
fee.
is the best offer.
Yeah.
But for me to justify what I'm doing, I have to show that there was competition, that I went out for a competitive bidding. That's what happens in the world of business. But for situations of somebody going to buy elsewhere instead of you, it's normal business. Yeah, it's preference. If somebody is looking for a Nike shoe and I'm selling Adidas, and he goes to an Adidas shop to buy the Adidas, I can never compel them to buy Nike.
Okay.
It's preferences, is the value proposition, and so on and so forth.
But then if I invest more in this and I add my value, then clearly I would draw the customers to my side, right?
Sure thing. You will, definitely. The strategies you are using to attract your customers are so key. I strongly believe that we don't fight for the customer experience. Just like we are having problems in organizations about employees, there's no employee experience. Somebody invites you for an interview to an organization. When you get to the reception, you get scared about the kind of organization you're going to go into.
Yeah, sure.
The kind of interview questions you'll be asked by the panelists, they are literally harassing you. So the messaging, the experience, if somebody walks into KFC, what experience will they have when opposed to when they walk to another shop, for instance,
Yeah.
an eatery, Let me not draw boundaries so that
You're not biased.
I look like I'm biased.
Yeah.
So handling that customer experience is so key, so much so that I always think about that store when I want that thing again.
Uh-huh.
What did I experience when I walked into your kiosk to buy tomatoes?
Okay.
That experience is so key. That's the only way you can you can attract and sustain your customers. What are they experiencing when they walk in before they even pay money? That experience will always bring them back to you.
All right.
Just
we
to
have a
respond
couple
to
of
Roy.
minutes, uh-huh.
Just a brief one.
Yeah.
To Roy, just offer quality services, and when it comes to pricing, do not exaggerate,
Ah, yes.
because that's
That
another
also
problem.
happens,
I want
yeah.
to exaggerate. I want to get to be rich tomorrow. Do not exaggerate on the pricing, and also do not underquote.
Can we exaggerating? Can I use the word greed?
Yeah, do not have
Yeah.
greed in this. So if it's there, you've said the traveling.
The traveling.
Yeah, just offer quality services and the right pricing, not too low and not too high.
All right. Even so, lastly, gentlemen.
Yeah.
For someone who is facing negative competition, how can they change that around? Just briefly.
Is that in the
Start with
workplace? or
Both
is that-
in the business and in the workplace.
In the business, like we rightly said, you must differentiate yourself. That's the only way you can thrive. You must leverage on contemporary technologies. You must leverage on the customer experience, like I said. You'll definitely definitely move to your next competitor if my experience with your shop or your store or your eatery is not in line with what I expect as a customer.
Yeah.
But what is important for issues to do with career competition, like I mentioned before, it's a question of having proper structures in the organization. What kind of culture are you embracing? And more importantly, what people are you bringing on board? We've come across incidences where you have the best people. You look at their CVs and like, oh,
Yeah.
they go to a client's place, 3 months, you are told this guy you brought as qualifications here are not a performer. Because skills, competencies, and behavior are two different things.
Yeah, sure.
Being qualified from Harvard is one thing, but can you deliver at my place of work is a totally different thing. So I think all those things boil down to how we bring these people on board so that they can either compete negatively or positively. And more importantly, what culture do you embrace as an organization?
I like that.
Yeah.
Mr. Kelvin.
I'll talk on behalf of the business side. Offer quality services, offer good services, be consistent, and up your game.
Wow. Hey, that was so straight to the point. I do not want to water down what you gentlemen have said.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you too
It's
for
really
the
been
chance.
a learning experience, and we don't take that for granted.
Thank you
glad.
for having us.
All right, asanteni sana, and thank you so very much for tuning in to This Is the Day. We meet again tomorrow for another learning session. My name is Sarah Otieno, and I will see you tomorrow.